Hey everyone, Arthur of Gaming here. I want to address something that I see all the time. I'm online, I'm on Facebook groups, and there is always lots of question about, is Dwarvenforge worth it? So I'm sure all of you know what Dwarvenforge is. If you don't, Dwarvenforge is a manufacturer of 3D modular terrain. I am lucky that I have a bunch of Dwarvenforge terrain. I use it all the time. If you haven't seen me on Instagram, you should go check out my Instagram. I have lots of 3D terrain builds up there, and when I do build, most of it's Dwarvenforge. Now, the biggest thing I always hear people say all the time is Dwarvenforge is expensive. Is Dwarvenforge worth it, etc. And that I kind of want to address, and that's kind of what I want to go over today in this video, because personally, I think Dwarvenforge is very much worth it. There expensive pieces? There are. There are pieces of Dwarvenforge, or packages of Dwarvenforge is a better way to put it, that are expensive. There are, and I'll show you some of them in just a few minutes here. But there are some that are not, and the majority of the stuff that you really want to use, I think, is not that expensive when you really break it down and look at it. The other bonus to Dwarvenforge is that it's made out of Dwarvenite. So they have this special material, they call it Dwarvenite. Here's some Dwarvenforge right here. Here we go right here. This is a piece of Dwarvenforge, and this is a rubbery plastic material. It's got a little bit of bend, but not much. It doesn't really bend all that much. The bonus to it, though, is that it's virtually indestructible. You can drop pieces on the floor. If you've ever seen Dwarvenforge at a convention, I've seen them at like PAX East a couple of years ago, and they have this elaborate setup on this table, on these like counters, all these castles and all this kind of stuff. And when they're done, they just put a tarp on the floor and push it all off the table onto the tarp, dropping it probably a good 4 feet onto the floor, pick up the tarp, and go walking away with it. I mean, that says something. There is no other terrain when it is on my table that I am 100% sure it's not going to break. I'm in a house where there are not really small children anymore, but I do have a large child, and he's not the most graceful person in the world. I have dogs and I have cats, and I never fear putting my Dwarvenforge on the table that a dog's going to hit the table or a cat's going to get on it, because sometimes with my work schedule, because I'm a nurse and I work long hours, and sometimes 3 days in a row, if I'm shooting my show River Break, that's on Twitch, for instance, you can find it twitch.tv/vorpalboard. If I'm shooting River Break, I'll set up terrain 3 days ahead of time or 4 days ahead of time, and it'll be waiting for my Wednesday game. And I never worry when my Dwarvenforge is on the table that one of my pain-in-the-butt cats is going to get up on the table and knock something over and break it, because it's not going to break. Not going to break. And that's the most important part, I think. For me, that makes me feel better. There are 3D printed pieces, and I know they're pretty indestructible, but they're not indestructible the way Dwarvenforge is. And I don't really think the 3D printed stuff is as cheap as you think it is. So let's just take a look. I'm going to put my Dwarvenforge away. Again, just throw it in the box. I'm not worried about it. And I'm going to bring up my second screen here like this. Boom. All right. So here's my Dwarvenforge main page. I'm in their shop right now, actually. I'm only looking at painted stuff right now. I'll show you one example of when I wouldn't look at painted stuff. For me, I don't want to paint it. Number one, I already have Dwarvenforge terrain, so to try and match new unpainted terrain with the painted stuff would be a nightmare for me. It would make me crazy. But if you were starting off fresh and you have no Dwarvenforge terrain, then unpainted might work for you, because then you could just start painting from the beginning and make your own color scheme and make everything look the way you want it to look. I already have painted Dwarvenforge like this, so I don't want to try and match that. So I'm only looking at painted stuff right now on their website. Let's take a look. So a basic cavern set, which is amazing, by the way. I have a few of these basic cavern sets. They are awesome. They are so good. So if you look, it is $80. Some people say, "Oh my God, that's a lot of money," and you're right. $80 is not cheap. It's not. Let me see. I'm going to get my calculator here. Boom. You're right. $80 is not the cheapest thing in the world. But now, if we take 80, and if we divide it by the number of pieces in the set, 26, you're really only looking at $3 a piece, right? So that's not that expensive. Is it dirt cheap? No, it's not. But like I said, it's virtually indestructible. Now this isn't the cavern. This is one of the dungeon pieces that I've been showing you, because I didn't bring the cavern piece up with me. But for $3 a piece, that's not that much. I know for me, I tend to save a little bit here and there. I tend to throw like $25 or $30 or $50 in a bank account every month. And then in every couple months, then I go buy some Dwarvenforge terrain with it. So it's really not that bad or that hard to throw a little bit of money away and then buy one of these base sets that will really help you out. A cavern base set's amazing, really, really good. Let's take a look at some of the other ones here. So if you look at like the Lava River pack. Now granted, yes, Lava River pack, you're not going to use lava rivers in every single dungeon that you do. Let's clear out my thing here, but $65 divided by 30, you're looking at $2.17 per piece in the Lava River pack. So, it's not as expensive as people think it is. Like I said, are there pieces that are expensive? There are. There are pieces that are expensive. Go back to here. The Lava Cavern pack, another one, which is I don't have this one. I wish I did. I don't have one yet, but it's another one. So $85 for 26 pieces. So we can do the math on that. So $85 divided by 26. $3.27 a piece. Right? Not that expensive. I know when I look at other pieces, like I look at some of the like 3D printed pieces, and that's what I compare this to, right? I come back to my Dwarvenforge. I come into one of these sets here, one of these base packs, one of these core sets, maybe we could call them, and I look at them and I say, okay, so this is $3.27. How much does this 3D printed piece cost? And I'm telling you, Dwarvenforge might be a little more expensive per piece, but it's not as much as you think. You look at some of the other stuff, like the Chasm pack. I love this pack too. This one's really good. Now this is even cheaper. Now granted, these pieces are smaller, so I agree with this ahead of time. These are smaller pieces, but if you look, divided by 30, 42 divided by 30, these are $1.40 a piece. And I'm telling you, this is one of those packs that I love, love, love. So whenever I'm using any cavern stuff, I always have this Chasm pack. I have a bin. See, I put my stuff in bins. Here, let me show you. Let me make my stuff bigger here. There we go, right here. Okay, so I have bins like this. And this, I call this the fancy dungeon. It's because it looks like, like cool dwarven dungeon. But I have all my stuff in bins. And I have a bin called Ruins. And I have my Chasm packs in there. And I have my Ruins pack, if you've ever seen the Ruins pack for Dwarvenforge stuff. And I have all my stuff in there, so I always pull that Ruins pack out when I'm making a cavern, because this stuff is amazing. I love these pieces because they really do help to make it from, because if you look at this piece here, right, you look at this, yeah, the pieces are square, right? But that's how you make a nice modular setup. And to take this from square pieces to not square pieces, you use these cavern packs. Or Chasm packs, I'm sorry, which are really good. So if we go back here and look, now, so these are some of the things where I think where people start to think this is very, very, very expensive. And I don't disagree. There are times, if we look at like the Savage Gorge, sorry, this is, I don't see if it tells us how many pieces there are, 119 pieces. So again, not even that expensive. So if we look at 576 divided by 109, and oops, shoot, sorry about that, divided by 119, you're only looking at $4.84 per piece. So all these pieces, $4.84 a piece. So even that's not that expensive. But yes, it's a little more expensive. And I think, unfortunately, that's what people tend to do when it comes to Dwarvenforge. Number one, I've met a lot of the people at Dwarvenforge, and they're amazing people. I can't say enough nice things about them as just far as they're cool people. This is their passion. They really make cool stuff, but they really seem to be a really good company too. But if you look at this again, so yes, $576, lots of money for 3D terrain. Is the average person going to go out there and buy $576 worth of 3D terrain? in one shot? Probably not. I'll give that to you. But when you break it down on a per piece cost, it's not really that expensive. So for people who are new, and now I'm going to show you some other stuff too. I'm going to go to some other, like here we got dungeon over here. And these all work out to be pretty much the same. Like if you look at, let's see, like let's go with this dungeon pack 3 here, right? So if you look, this is only a 12-piece pack for $50, so it's about $4 to $4 a pack. This is a specifically specialized pack. But some of the, like this one, the Grand Stair pack, which I don't have one of these. I really want one of these packs bad. But if you look at it, $36. Oh, hang on a minute. I got to do the other way around. $70 for 36 pieces, right? So if you break this down, you're looking at $1.94 a piece. I mean, it's really not that much. Again, this is one that I really want. I don't have this pack yet. I really want it. It's been sold out, so I haven't been able to get it. But I really want one of those packs, really bad. But if you look at these, like here's the classic dungeon set. So this is what I was looking for. So here's your classic dungeon set. This is what everybody should probably buy if you were going to just start fresh, and you wanted it painted, not unpainted. And if you look at this, so we're looking at $99, and it's a 45-piece set. So that's $2.2 a piece for each of these pieces in here. And you can create, with this one set, you can make all sorts of dungeons. All sorts. Lots of options, right? So I think people don't think of it that way. And I'll tell you where we get into it. So if you go to Castle Builder, right? Or actually not Castle Builder. I always get this one wrong. Construct a Castle. Let's go to Construct a Castle Painted. And this is where people start to think Dwarvenforge is expensive. Because they come here, they see the Necromancer's Keep, and they see $1,145, and they lose their mind. They say, oh my God, this is so expensive. I could never afford this. Dwarvenforge is expensive. I'm not buying it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think that's crazy. Yes, $1,145 is expensive. I don't have one of these because I don't have $1,145 to spend. However, and I don't think they give us the pieces. Do they tell us how many pieces there are? They add up the pieces here. I don't see a total piece. But if you look, there's a lot of pieces in this thing. I was hoping it would tell me a total piece on here. But I don't see a listing of total pieces. But if we broke it down, it's probably not as expensive as you think it is. It's probably pretty on par with most of the rest of it. But yes, because it's a huge set and a lot of pieces, it's an expensive piece. It is. But you don't need that. You don't need to have the Necromancer's Keep to be enjoying Dwarvenforge. You can go all the way back here to our caverns, and you can buy a couple sets of these for $80 a piece, or water for $46 a piece, or water cavern pack for $60. And you can buy them in small batches. And after a year or 2 years, you have a massive amount of Dwarvenforge that you can continually use, because this is greatly modular. You can do all sorts of things with it. This is one that's great. The Elevation Pack. This I have. This is great. This is a really good set. This one's a little more expensive for their sets. If you look at $80 divided by 18, so yeah, this is going to be roughly $4.44 a piece per piece. But I'll tell you, these pieces are amazing, and they are so helpful if you're going to do any sort of elevation with your Dwarvenforge stuff. I have a couple packs of these, and they're awesome. They're very helpful. I think everybody should buy those. And then you can look at some of the city builder stuff. So now if you look at some city builder stuff, this is all to build buildings, right? Houses and that sort of thing. And if you look at some of this stuff, like if we look at, that's an add-on. I'm trying to find like a base set add-on pack. This is the ruins pack that I was talking about earlier. Like I said, when I have my ruins, this is my ruins pack. It's buildings that are on fire, which are great if you ever want to do anything of that kind of stuff. Let me find just a base walls or town or Tudor wall add-on pack. LED walls add-on pack. Where's my core sets? Keep finding all the add-on packs. Oh, here you go. Cottage set stone. Here you go. So stone cottage set. So if you look at this, $49, 10 pieces. So you're looking at $4.90 per piece to make a house, right? So little stone house, $50. Yes. Does that sound expensive? Yes, I give it to you. A small stone house, $50. I give that to you. However, again, you get a couple of these over time, and now all of a sudden this isn't as expensive as you think, and you can start building bigger and better things. I just think it's really not as bad as people think it is. I use it all the time. You get into like these monster sewer sets, which I have one of these, 108 pieces for $195. So you look at 108 pieces. So let's see, $195 divided by 108, and you're looking at $1.80 per piece. So $1.80 per piece. And I'll tell you, I have one of these sewer sets, and they're great. They're awesome. They really do a good job of making you feel like you're in a sewer. You're putting your players in a sewer, and they're running through the sewers. And you could always, buy one of these unpainted. So if we look at some of this stuff, right? So this was in the City Builder. So we look at City Builder unpainted. Again, now this is where you start to save some money looking at this. So if you look at that's the add-on pack for the sewers. Where's my sewers? Again, they show all these pieces painted, but they send it to you unpainted. Sewer set, where'd it go? Sewer set right here. So $145, right? 108 pieces, $145. Now you're talking even cheaper than that, right? So 145 divided by 108. Oops, crap. That was the wrong thing. Clear that. 145 divided by 108. I probably should use my keyboard. So you're looking at $1.34. So you're saving a little bit per piece by getting it unpainted instead of painted, right? So you could, if you needed to be economical, you could do that and really save yourself. Like this Hamlet set, right? $198, 104 pieces. And you could probably look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 floors. There's a considerable amount of walls, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28. So you're looking at close to 30 walls, posts. I mean, there's a lot to do here. You could definitely make a decent amount of buildings here for $198. And again, $198 is not cheap. I'm giving it to you. But if you look at it and cost per piece, it becomes a whole different animal. And I think that's where other people who aren't Dwarvenforge I don't think they break it down for you. I think they just say, blah, they pick a big expensive set. This Dwarvenforge set's $300, and you're like, oh my God, $300 is a lot. And it is. I'm not saying it's not. But they don't show you these other sets which are more economical, which when you break it down on the cost per piece, and then throw in the fact that you have Dwarvenite, which is practically indestructible. I mean, I can't break this thing. I'm pulling on it, and it's not, and I'm not a weak dude. I'm pulling on it, nothing, right? Nothing. I could hit it on the table. I could throw it on this metal or stone floor. Who's got a metal floor? Stone floor. And it's not gonna break. And that's what I think is really the big bonus to Dwarvenforge. Their Dwarvenite is amazing, and if you really look at like I said, if you look at some of the sets, and you get into some of the bigger sets, some of the base sets, so to speak, it's really a much more economical than most people think. So. This is by far not like a paid program by Dwarvenforge. I just happen to like Dwarvenforge, and I happen to hear all the time this argument of Dwarvenforge is expensive. And I'm lucky to have a lot of Dwarvenforge. I believe in the company. I believe in the people that work at Dwarvenforge. I believe in the product. I really do think that they make just an amazingly good product. I love that I never worry about it breaking. I mean, are there pieces? Sure. There's little tiny pieces that you maybe stick in the top of something that's not the Dwarvenite that maybe you have to worry a little bit about those pieces breaking. But overall, probably 90% of what I own for Dwarvenforge, I never fear when it's on the table that it's going to be broken. other people have like resin sets and that sort of thing that are not made out of this material, and I'm always worried that I'm going to put it on the table, one of my cats is going to come along, knock it off the table, hit the floor, I'm going to come walking into the room, and here's going to be a broken piece on the floor. And I don't with Dwarvenforge. And for me, that's important to me, to have the peace of mind that, you know, let's say, and I don't know any other sets, right? I'm not going to call any other companies out, because I'm only here to talk about the positive Dwarvenforge. But let's just say, let me bring back my thing up here. Let's say another company 3D printed a set exactly the same as this one that I'm looking at right here, right? And for 24 pieces, they charged you $50, right? That's good. And you could say, hey, cool, $50, but I'll save myself 20 bucks. Number one, most of them are unpainted and you have to paint them. Number two, it's not made out of this material. And I've 3D printed things before. I had a 3D printer and I've 3D printed stuff, and I know what it feels like. It's plasticky, and it's flexible a little bit, and I feel like it could be broken easier. You know, if someone, this is almost like a Lego, you know how indestructible Legos are. And this to me feels like, you know, if I drop this on the floor and I step on this, I'm hurting myself, not this piece. I don't feel the same way when it comes to like 3D printed pieces. Whereas I drop it on the floor, step on it, I think I'm breaking the piece. There are lots of companies out there that make 3D pieces, 3D buildings, 3D printed buildings, for instance, but they're all like 3 pieces, right? There's a whole floor plan, and then a second floor, and then a roof, and they look really nice, but they're not modular, right? You're not be able to take them apart and build whatever configuration of a floor plan that you want to build. So that's my little bit of a rant here. Just kind of saying, think about it, break it down on a cost per piece. And I think if you go online, I think if you look at companies that are making other sets or other pieces and they're showing you a cost per piece set, I think if you look at the cost per piece and come back to Dwarvenforge and look, you're going to see Dwarvenforge isn't that much more expensive, and you have the peace of mind of not breaking your stuff. So that's it. That's all I wanted to tell you. As always, guys, please follow my Instagram, like this video, follow me here on YouTube, do all the good stuff there. Go check out the guys at Dwarvenforge, www.dwarvenforge.com. They're great. I love their stuff. And as always, everybody, guys, it's a crazy world out there. Please stay safe.